We're here. Okay, let's see if we get some screen time and some voice time. There we go. Okay, I see me. How about you guys? Do you see me? Hear me? Renee says 5 by 5. That's one. Okay, 393 people in here. One can hear me. Healthy disrespect, old crow. Okay, all right, I got it. Okay. Happy Saturday night, guys. Lots to monologue on tonight here. So we had nice weather here in Tennessee today, so this was good. I got out this morning and was putting wood up in the garage, so that made me feel good. Got another 8 boards up. Can only do 8 at a time because that's all I can seal at a time and wait for them to dry, and that's all the room the workbench has. And as for that, then the other thing I got going was potted up all those cabbages and lettuce. The lettuce is freaking enormous already. So put those in 1 gallon pots. So I got those done. But we got out of those seeds I planted, what did I plant? 9 seeds. I got 7 cabbage and 5 heads of lettuce. So germination rate was decent for old seeds. Put some did some more work on the bridge over to the pond, so that's getting closer and closer to done. Yes, I am filming it, but it's a slow process. Uh, and then Mrs. P and I went to the grocery store, and yes, we got butter. Okay, just but plenty of extra too. But I want to give you this. Now, you guys know one of the stores that we go to is the grocery outlet, and for those of you guys down in the southeast, you know what that is. It's basically like an IGA or something like that. Get this. I got bone-in chicken breast for 99 cents a pound. Yeah, we bought a ton of that. And then they had Boston butt for $1.39. I got 20 pounds of that. So tomorrow, when it's pouring rain here, I will be making and canning a whole bunch of barbecued pork. So, pulled pork, make pulled pork sandwiches. So, yes, that is the that's the deal on that one. So, but I was like, I was stoked to see 99 cents on chicken breasts. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? How the hell did this happen? They're good size whole chicken breasts. Not the bagged stuff, the stuff that comes in the styrofoam tray. So that was the excitement here at Pinball Ranch today. But yeah, so how about everything going on? I guess we'll start in a few different things. Let's talk about Memphis first. Uh, thank God the riots weren't as bad yesterday as we expected. Who knows what's going to happen tonight? But you see, the city caved to the defense attorney second chair. They disbanded the Scorpion unit today. So hey, why bother? We'll just get rid of some police. The more interesting one, and this is a rumor, but I've heard this in a couple of places now, is I guess a couple of the cops supposedly were members of the Vice Lords, which is a prison gang of somewhere between, I think it's like 30 to 35,000 people based out of Chicago prisons. There was the Memphis street gang leader of the Vice Lords was gunned down, about a week ago, I think it was. So don't know how all this is working, but that's an interesting story, especially when we caught the one today where there was a story that I think it was either a department chief or somebody, prosecutor, I don't know who it was, DA, said he saw something in the tape and he's opening an investigation. And in reading the whole article, never mentioned what he saw. And I'm just wondering if somewhere in there was flashing of gang signs between two cops or something like that. Don't know, pure speculation, but that seems to be the rumor that's running around. That would be real interesting if you had infiltration of the gangs into the PD. Because we know some gangs have infiltrated the military in a lot of places. So that'll be an interesting story to keep paying attention to. Then, of course, we get into everything going on around the world, which is lots of fun. Uh, Anybody catch this one today? I mean, I don't know where I've heard this, but man, somebody said something about this. Volodymyr Zelensky is now bitching that the United States is only sending 31 tanks. He expects 300 to 500 tanks. Oh, and when the U.S. says the earliest that we could get them to Zelensky would be August, that isn't soon enough. He wants them immediately. Okay, we can't wait till we build them. He wants them out of our stockpile. Now, a lot of you guys have speculated, just like I have on this one, is what would happen if Zelensky and Putin were working in cahoots with each other, trying to deplete NATO of all its armament with the big farce of a war, and then take it all and use it all against us. I'm not going conspiracy theory on you, but I don't trust Zelensky as far as I can spit. Yeah. And of course, now the Pentagon is saying as well that, oh, gee, F-16s might be on the table. You know, I think Sweden or Denmark or whatever said they want to send F-16s to Ukraine as long as the U.S. approves of it. And Ukraine is saying they've got some 50 fighter pilots that are well versed in aerial tactics, and they could be trained in 90 days on how to fly an F-16. Okay? Really, I'd love to know where you got all this great training, that you need. But so that was that one. Then, of course, you had North Korea come out today and say that they are willing to get in the trenches with Russia, that they will go fight with the Russians, okay, and calling the U.S. sending tanks to Ukraine as crimes against humanity. Then again, who cares what that fat little bastard says anyway? Yes, I know he went on a diet. He probably stopped eating little children. And then, of course, you have the latest news this evening on, Israel is doing drone strikes on Iranian munitions facilities. Great. So let's see. Why don't we get a war going here? We've already got Russia, Ukraine. Let's get Iran, Israel going. We got Turkey, Greece going. We've got China threatening Taiwan. What the hell's next? Is, Ecuador going to go into Venezuela or something like that? Come on, Canada, please attack us. Do something. Canada going after Mexico, maybe. I don't know. Hawaii can attack Alaska. And you even had today a Air Force general telling his subordinates, basically his entire flight team, that expect a war with China by 2025. Yeah, that's a good thing to put out in the public. Yes, guys, something's coming. If we're all celebrating Christmas this year without helmets on, I will be surprised. But who knows? The world's gone to hell. Everybody's pissed at everybody. And World War, to me, almost seems inevitable like this. You cannot tell me that every one of these conflicts that I just mentioned is going to be handled diplomatically. We have idiots as diplomats, okay? It's not going to be handled diplomatically. So, oh, and the other thing today, there's an eggplant in Connecticut that's on fire. Because, we don't need any more problems with the egg issues, right? And yeah, I only had about a half an hour to check out the news this evening, guys. That was all I could find. Sorry, it's only 10 after 9. So, all right, let's get into the Q&A here, because I figure you guys have a whole lot of stuff. And just to warn everybody, I am a little feisty tonight. Our sponsor tonight, no, I'm kidding. One of y'all, okay, is Larry, sent me 4 of his competitive beers that he sends off to the Bluegrass Cup Homebrew Competition 2023. Okay. And so I had one on Thursday. I had one yesterday. Right now I'm having a brown IPA. This stuff's really good. So Larry, if you're watching, thank you very much. I'm enjoying the hell out of this. No, he's not sponsoring me. It was just really nice. So I appreciate that. All right, let's get into Q&A. For those of you guys that are new here, real simple, just like every other YouTube channel. If you've got questions for me, please put them in all caps. There's 1,500 of you guys in here. There's one of me, and that way I can read it a lot faster. Nothing's off limits. We'll talk about anything. Okay, the only thing that I require, this isn't a request, this is a requirement, is that we treat everybody with respect in here. Okay, no being, disagreement is fine, but no being an asshole to anybody else. Not to me, not to anybody else in the chat, nothing like this. With everything that's going on, I'm going to say this one too, it should go without saying. I don't care what your beliefs are. You know what my beliefs are. Racism will not be put up with in this live stream at all. That will be an immediate, you're banned from the channel. No questions. Okay. So, all right, let's get into some Q&A. Let me start at the top. I will work my way down. As I tell everybody here real quick, please bear with me. I can only read these and answer these so fast. If you ask a question now, I may not get to it for 15 minutes or something. Please be patient, okay? If I haven't answered it in what you consider a reasonable amount of time, please type it in again. That's fine with me, okay? Also, watch the chat. A lot of times the people in chat will have an answer to a question before I get to it, or maybe I don't know the answer. I'm sorry, I'm not Encyclopedia Britannica. I don't know everything. Don't even come close. So I know what I know. I know what I don't know. So, all right, let's start here. Definitely P. Do I start tomato seeds in a grow tray and then transfer to a bigger pot as they grow? Absolutely. Okay. And for a simple reason is this, it's space. Okay. You know, I can take one of these and I can grow 23. Yes. If you watch the video, you know why that's cut out. Okay. I grow 23 tomato plants in that, and that's what, 10 inches by 20 inches, maybe roughly thereabouts, and get started. Now, like I said, like with my cabbage, my lettuce, I up-potted those to 1-gallon pots today. Why? Because I'm going to grow those all the way to the end in the pots. Okay, but I will usually, after my plants are in my seed trays like that, then I will transplant them into a solo cup. And then by the time they've pretty much got a good root ball in the solo cup, that's about the time they're ready to go in the ground. So, yes, but definitely you can start them in here if you want. The problem is one of these takes up a lot more space than one of these squares, okay? And like everybody else, you've probably got limited space. If you have a massive greenhouse somewhere that you can put all your plants and everything like that in solo cups, start that way. But most of us don't, so start smaller, and then because it's all rotated, some things are going in the garden while some things are just getting started, you can manage your space a little better. I know probably way too much information for the question, but that's the answer. KJ, putting a pig in a can. Yep. It's really hard. You need a plunger. Okay. Pork and chicken canning video. There you go. I've got a bunch of canned chicken upstairs, so I'm not going to do that. If you guys want to see me make pork, maybe I'll video how to make pulled pork, but I mean, it's not rocket science here. No whining. Did I feel guilty buying it all? I left one pack of chicken breasts, and the guy was going back in the back to get more anyway, so he was stocking it as we went. I have no doubt there was more, but no, I don't feel guilty buying it all. I've said many times, I'm at the store. If it's there, great. If you wanted it, you should have been at the store before me, because there's plenty of times I walk into the store and it's empty. Why? Because somebody beat me to the store. I don't feel guilty about cleaning a shelf off ever. Neuron Web, any recipes for sunchokes? Nope, because I don't grow them. So, Susan Mustard, did you ever imagine you'd be so excited about chicken prices? It's probably not the first time. You know, I'm you got to remember, guys, I'm bohemian, or at least part. Okay, it's like finding something cheap. I mean, that's reason to throw a party for me. So, it's like, hey, ground beef's on sale, cool, or whatever it is. I got a deal. Okay. Michelle A, do you know that the Vermont County sells a thing that you can make your own butter quickly? I, Great. I mean, I could make my own butter quickly too with a mason jar, put the cream in there, shake the living crap out of it, and I got butter. I mean, that's it. So, I mean, if you really want to get uh, good with it, you can make something out of a reciprocating saw where you attach the jar to a reciprocating saw blade and just go zzz and let it shake it up itself, and you got a jar of butter. So, uh, okay. Perky's Prepping Lieutenant. Perky's Prepping Lieutenant AEMT. There we go. Pinball, I asked last week about tips or tricks for the straw bale garden method, but it was late in the chat. I'm planning on trying this year. Any advice for a novice? Okay. If you are going to do it, make sure you plan ahead. Okay. It's going to take you about 2 weeks to season that straw bale. You're going to put it out wherever you plan on growing in it, put it there. Okay. Do not plan on moving this thing once you've started. Put it there. You are going to use nitrogen fertilizer of some sort, whether you use lawn fertilizer or urine or Miracle Grow or whatever you want to use. You need something that's high in nitrogen because that straw is all carbon. Okay. And so you need something for nitrogen because what you are trying to do is start a compost pile inside the straw bale. It's literally what you're doing. So you put it in there, first day you put in your nitrogen, you water it down. Second day, you just water it down. Third day, you put in nitrogen, you water it down. And I mean, you are just flooding all that carbon with a ton of nitrogen so it breaks down. You need about 2 weeks, okay, to start turning it into compost. And it'll continue to compost. You're composting on the inside of the hay bale. So after a couple of weeks, check it with a compost thermometer, meat thermometer, whatever you want to use. Okay, make sure it's still not cooking, and then put your potatoes in there, and then just water it as regular, and you're good to go. I mean, it's very easy, and it works very well. So, I don't want to say be afraid of it or anything like that, but don't try to make it more difficult than it is. Lance Corporal Veteran, thank you for the super sticker or super chat there. Stovetop mozzarella is so easy. Need to try. Never heard of that. Okay. You got a recipe for it, email it to me. Because we love our cheese around here. Okay, going back up. A Cushionette Prepper, did I see the Paul Pelosi hammer video? The defense is upset as it's going to hurt their cause. Yeah, I saw it. I mean, it's pretty much exactly what was explained in all the news stories. The cops came, knocked on the door. Paul and the guy came to the door, went, and then the guy went batshit, and poof, it was over. So, the guy's a fruitcake. Paul DePape or DePapi or however you pronounce his name. The guy's a fruitcake. Not that Paul Pelosi isn't a fruitcake too, but yeah. I don't remember. I heard something about him being deported, but I don't know if he's in jail or whatever it is because he was a Canadian citizen here illegally and whole nine yards. So I don't pay attention to that because, frankly, it doesn't make a lick of difference in my life, and I don't care. Okay. I saw it, and I mean, it was a quick 20-second video clip or whatever it was. Poof, done. Okay. It's one of those things. No, I'm not going to make a video on it. It has nothing to do with prepping. It's like, all these news articles and stuff like that. Would you guys really seriously watch this channel if I said, hey guys, here's the latest on the Kim Kardashian deal? Nobody cares. It has nothing to do with prepping. That's I stick to prepping, and Paul Pelosi has nothing to do with prepping. Christian Prepper. Oh, yeah, this was one that I forgot to talk about. Any idea about the helicopter crash in Moscow? Any info? If you guys didn't hear, was it Sheremetyevo or I forget which airport it was at. There's 3 airports in Moscow. And their Mi-8 helicopter, which is the same size as like what, Air Force or Marine One that you see Potato Joe get into or any president. Okay. Uh, Crashed today. Tail went down, rotor hit. It was right near an elementary school. 3 kids were killed in this crash. They did not say who was on the helicopter, but it crashed right there at the airport, which is right near, the helipad was right near a school. I have not heard anything about the cause yet or who was on the helicopter, so that we don't know. So far, I think it was 15 injured and 3 kids killed is the latest that I've heard. But as for cause, no, that I don't know yet. It certainly wasn't shot down by the Ukrainians or whatever. This was on a landing, so. Booney June, hello. Today is my birthday. I'm 66 years young. Well, happy birthday, Booney June. Let's see. A burning eggplant. I have no idea what the context is there. Who's a daddy? Mama Preps 4. Lots of snow yesterday. Wind chills 22 below here in Montana right now. Lots of accidents. There was a 50-car pileup or something like that yesterday. I think it was in Wisconsin. I mean, I look at this stuff and I go, why is anybody out driving in it? If it's whiteout conditions or the roads are complete crap, why are you on the road? I don't know. I understand that, work didn't close, but I mean, you get roads that are bad enough that you got a 50-car pileup. Chances are you call the boss and go, boss, the roads suck. I'm not coming in. He goes, tell I'm at home. So, who knows? And if he says, no, get your ass to work, maybe you need to start looking for another job. There's plenty of them out there. James Price. I'm drinking Mountain Made moonshine from here in East Tennessee. There you go. Good old fresh water. That is some good stuff. He also sent me a different IPA and a Belgian ale. The Belgian ale was really good too. Mamma mia, how and where do we store used bacon grease for future use, and how long until rancid? I mean, you're just basically putting it in a mason jar, but that's something that you should definitely be rotating quickly. If you're saving the bacon grease today, you shouldn't have 4 or 5 jars of bacon grease. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can't think something like that is going to go bad super quick. If somebody else in here knows how long bacon grease will stay shelf stable, please put it in there. I don't know, but I can't think that you're generating that much bacon grease that you're not using it for flavoring potatoes or biscuits and gravy or whatever. David N0386 or 0836, throwing a steak on the grill. Love the channel. Medium rare, that would be perfect. So, Classic Prepper Pinball. Was it beneficial to plant peppers 2 weeks earlier? Was watching old gardening videos. Absolutely, it was. And if you watch the old stuff. Last year, I planted my peppers a little earlier. So by the time they went in the ground, they were stockier. They were bigger plants. And I had so many banana peppers, a excellent haul of green peppers, and literally Mrs. P and I had so many jalapenos this year that I dehydrated like 6 quarts of them. I ground up another couple of quarts to make a shaker thing. I think I showed you guys that. And I've got pickled jalapenos for days. I mean, we had so many jalapenos last year that I cut it back in this year's garden to only half as many as we planted because, I mean, I'd go out and pick hundreds of peppers, of banana peppers or jalapenos. I think I showed you in another video somewhere where I had just a table full of peppers. It was definitely worthwhile planting early because I had stronger plants going out into the garden and they produced like crazy. And I will be doing the same thing again this year. I think I'm planting my peppers here 2 weeks from now. I believe it's like right around Valentine's Day, I think is where I've got my peppers and my peas. I think are on the same day. They're not going outside at the same time, but they'll be started at the same time. Peas grow quick. Travis Bosdell, have I ever tried electroculture? Never even heard of electroculture, so no. Judy Who, why is silver stuck at 23? You got to watch the dollar index for this, okay? When the dollar index is bouncing around right now between about 101 and a half and 102 and a quarter, somewhere thereabouts, and it has been for about a week. As the dollar gets weaker, you got to understand when I say that that's compared to other currencies, not purchasing power, okay? Silver and gold will get stronger. So with the dollar not moving with the currency markets not fluctuating, the precious metals markets aren't fluctuating. That's basically all you got going on there. So I look at it this way. It's just sitting there giving us a buying opportunity right now to get some cheap, because when it pops, silver is going to break through 25 and it's going to be bye-bye, and the next thing you know, we're at 30 and everybody's going to go, damn, why didn't I buy more at 23? Janet Nice, my birthday's tomorrow. Can I have a shout out, please? Happy birthday, Janet. And to your husband, get to the store. No luck today. Making cold frames today. Hope to get 3 more weeks growing. Have you ever done this? You must be new here. You didn't see what I built in the garage? Okay. It's a lot more than a cold frame for what I've got going on in there. That is I've had these, you guys probably know them. It's, they're a tall, what are they? Maybe, I don't know, 3 feet wide, about 6 feet high, green metal, plastic, wire mesh shelves. I've had those. Those things last a year or two and they fall apart. And so, those work good for starting plants early and stuff like that, but they fall apart. They're not cheap, $60, $70. So that's why I built this thing out here, because that ain't gonna fall apart. So, but yeah, as for making cold frames, I made a greenhouse out of a workbench. Yes. Lance Corporal Veteran, I saw the super chat again. Thank you again, sir. Deb Prange, I think, or Prangi, thank you for today's video. Got us thinking on home safety. Guys, I've done many videos on that, and I know there's a lot of people that are new to the channel and haven't seen it. And for those of you guys that have been here for a while, sometimes I understand that it's like, oh, we've already done a video on this. Please understand why I do sometimes, because constantly we're getting new people that are coming in, and I know nobody's going back and watching 1,500 videos that I've put up. Yeah, it's probably more than that. But security and your safety is something that everybody needs to think about. And I got a lot of pushback today, especially, and I knew I was going to when I said in the video, I said, this is going to be controversial, but my thought on a fence. And I think a lot of people didn't hear what I said. They just said, oh, he doesn't like a fence, and skipped, okay? Because the whole point of saying my reasoning of being against the fence is because it's a psychological thing that's telling somebody on the other side, hey, there's something back there we want to go check out. If there's nothing there and they see the yarding and there's nothing there. But if there's a fence there, now somebody goes, what's behind the fence? Curiosity, okay? That's the whole thing. Somebody made a comment going, oh, well, somebody could cut down trees or trim bushes. okay, I can, at 56 years old, I can jump a fence faster than I can cut down a tree. Okay. So, yeah. Some of the responses were a little confusing, but I knew I was going to get pushback on that one. But that's the reason I do it. I want you guys to think about your own situation and maybe use somebody else's point of view, because we all have, including me, okay, all think the way we're doing things is correct until somebody says, but what about this? And you go, I never thought about that. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to do, is think about your own situation. Go, you know what? That's right. I mean, like I made the comment about the basement. Okay. Sure. There's probably a lot of people that have, safe rooms or whatever in their basement or whatever. And, like somebody said, their safe room's impenetrable. Great. I'm not trying to get in. If you go down there and lock yourself in, you did my job for me. If I'm the bad guy, you're locked away. You can't come out. I just got to run your house. 6 months later, when I'm still camping out in your living room, you're still down in the safe room. That was my point. Now, I also mentioned hopefully you have two ways out, whole nine yards. But I wanted people to think about this stuff. That's the reason I do a lot of these videos, because I don't have a basement. I don't have a storm cellar. I had houses in the past that have, okay, so I know that. But, your situation is different than mine. I've said a million times, there is no one size fits all to this. You got to figure it out on your own. But sometimes getting a second set of eyes on something maybe puts an idea in your head. I never thought about that. And so now you add that to your thought process. That's why I do those things. Bees nuts. Do I get anxiety thinking about what's coming? If so, how do I manage it? I don't sleep worth a shit. So if that's from anxiety, okay, maybe. But no, I don't. And I think the reason I don't is because I keep myself busy, okay? Whether I'm, like I said, working on the garage, working on the bridge, working on plants, that was just today, okay? And then I know that everything I'm doing is in one way or another helping me be more ready in case the world does go tits up, okay? And, sure, I sit in front of the computer reading news articles more than most people, but that I've done that my entire life. I've always been a news hound, okay? I don't dwell on it. This is it. It's like, okay, here's the issue. How do I react to it? Take action, move on. That's it. I don't sit there and dwell and go, oh my God, I'm not a liberal. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh, that's going to happen? Good. This is how I need to prepare for it. Let me go take care of it. Next. And that's it. And the other part is you've got to realize that there are going to be things that there's no way you can prepare for it. And if God says, today's the day I'm taking you home, today's the day he's taking you home. That's it. So, and I'm good with that too. Snakebite, how's the pond coming along? Stocked? Not yet. It's still too cold here. I mean, we're still getting down in the 30s, 20s and 30s at night. I need the water to be up in the 50s before I can do it. So it'll probably be somewhere around April or whatever before I stock this year. But there will be fish in the pond this spring. But I need to get that bridge done. So, let's see. Honey Prepper, have I found a hatchery for the fish to stock the pond? There's one that it's up in Kentucky. I think it's right on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, up 75, if I remember correctly. I was looking at this a few weeks ago, which that would probably be 2-ish hours from me. So that one's close enough, because from everything I see, is from the time they take them out of their tank to they put them in the pond, you don't want more than 3 hours. So that's what I've got. But I've had no luck with anything in East Tennessee. Literally, it is Nashville or nothing. So, and even some of the places you guys recommend that I've called, could be the time of year too, but nobody's even bothered to call me back. So I'm sorry, you don't want the business. You don't want to return phone calls when somebody says, "Hey, I'm a potential customer. You don't want to call me back." I don't give you a second chance. I called you once. You don't want to call me back. I move on. Uh, Randy Brown, have you used the cow pots product to start planting? I have no idea what you're talking about with cow pots. Are you talking like the stuff that you get like a mineral lick in or something like that? I mean, I don't have cows, so I don't have any of the feeders or anything like that for it. Maybe I'm misunderstanding your question, but mm, sorry, but no, I nothing like that. Sharon Carson, what is the max recruitment age for the military, and if a war, what max age for recall? Uh, it's either 25 or 27 for the draft. I believe you can, and again, I'm going back. I'm trying to remember this. I believe you can enlist, I want to say it's 35. And then if you're prior service, they'll give you a year for every year that you served. So I could have gone back and re-enlisted if I wanted to until I was 43. Uh, right. But max age for recall, was it World War II? They were recalling people up till age 60 or something like that. So, uh, I mean, again, it's going to be at the needs of the military. If they start and say we're going to recall people up to age 40 and then they're out of those people, now they're going to move it up to 50. I mean, they'll go up to, if you're still walking and breathing, they'll recall you. So that's always a chance. Moonlight Gardener, thank you for the super chat. Do I hand water my garden or do I have drip irrigation? Neither. If you remember from last year, I used overhead sprinklers. Okay. And I always laugh at the people who say, oh, you can't use overhead sprinklers because it'll burn your plants. That's not true at all. Okay. Uh, do you lose some water to evaporation? Yes, that part is true. Okay. As opposed to a drip irrigation system. But because of how I fertilize, I set it up that way. I mean, you guys know I use real organic stuff, okay, including the stuff that comes out of me. And I put it in, if you remember the video I did where I showed you how to set up using one of those plant sprayers and how to make a fertilizer distribution system for a sprinkler or whatever it is, go through the Miracle Grow thing and then run out to a sprinkler rather than me watering it. That works great. And, okay, once an hour I go out and I move the sprinkler from one garden to the next garden, and it takes me 5 hours to hit all the gardens because the big one's got to go twice. But, okay, top of the hour I go out, I move my sprinkler. Fine, big deal. Kathleen Maddox, can you do the solo cup without the greenhouse, just the garage? Well, the problem that you're going to have with just the garage is you need lights. So that's the two things that are most important that you're going to need are light and heat. Okay. Now my garage is not insulated and it faces north and there's no windows. Okay. So I've got the lights and the heater and everything in there. So that's the point. You can do it if you're with the heat for your garage getting warm enough. That's if your garage is insulated or heated or something like that, that'll be fine. Room temperature is going to be enough to grow 90% of what you're going to start. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, you probably want heat mats. Unless you're keeping your house at 80. But the garage problem you're going to run into is light. And so at that point, at a minimum, you're going to have grow lights. Rural Internet Prepper, thank you for the super chat. Have I heard about the Air Force general predicting Taiwan war in 2025 and telling his refueling squadron to be ready? My buddy's kid, who's a refueler, got the email 2 days ago. I talked about that at the beginning of the show, yes. So, yeah, I mean, he was going out and telling all his troops to, how do you put it, unload a clip and aim for the head. I'm like, did somebody get that wrong? Because there ain't anybody in the military who's going to call it a clip. That's a Hollywood thing. But who knows? But yeah, I talked about that at the beginning of the show. And moving on along. Okay, so I got that one too. Do. Sunshine 67. Sticker shock yesterday when I bought solo cups. Yeah, me too. As I told you in the video I did the other day, what was it? I paid $4.50 for or $3.50 for 40 of them or something like that, 9 cents a cup. I was like, damn. You know, but cheap ones work or styrofoam cups work or whatever it is. Just the whole thing is put a hole in the bottom of it. That's it. Fine. Just make sure they're big enough. You don't want to use those tiny little coffee cup ones because those are no bigger than this thing. So, going hot. This has got to be somebody who's a pilot or ex-military. Helicopters don't fly; they beat the air into submission. I like that. North Alabama hiking. Do I have any advice for a mouse deterrent for a house or an outbuilding? Cat? No, actually, I don't. We get mice here. I mean, every once in a while they'll come up underneath the house in the summertime. I'll find one in the kitchen or where I just set them up, mouse traps. But a barn cat, I mean, that's about the best I can come up with. It's been working for centuries, and see why, don't try to reinvent the wheel. I go to the animal shelter. I mean, they give cats away at the animal shelter, okay? Train a barn cat. Too spooked. How do we figure days to harvest when we buy transplants from the store? You got to kind of guesstimate how old the plant is. A lot of, and I can't even give you a general because it depends on the size, and then you're going to know what, if a tomato is ripe or not. That I'm assuming you're not asking about something like a fruiting plant. I'm assuming you're asking something like a root crop or something like that, which, I mean, most root crops you don't want to buy transplants. I mean, carrots, beets, those you want to direct sow, potatoes, sweet potatoes. I can't give you an answer to it. It's not something I've ever even given any thought to. Donna D, how long do I keep canned veggies and meats? Till I use them. I mean, we've got stuff that's up there that's 4 years old now, and we still crack it open and eat it. Haven't got sick yet. Obviously, I'm not dead, so we're good there. But I mean, if you want, Rudy over at Alaska Prepper has done experiments on things. He's opened stuff that he's canned 10, 12 years ago, and it was perfect. I mean, as long as the can is good, they'll last quite some time. As long as you're keeping it in a darker room, okay, at a constant temperature, it'll last a while. It's not going to last forever, but 5, 6 years, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Robert Beatty, welcome to Massachusetts. No solo cups here. Ban on single-use plastic cups. Yeah, go to New Hampshire and buy some. That would be it. God. Robin Matheson, for seedlings, add peat moss mixed with soil or peat moss alone. Peat moss is a soil-less mixture. I've seen some people say mix it with compost, mix it with. You don't need to get so crazy with it. Remember, your plants are only going to be growing in that for 4 to 6 weeks. That's it. Then you're going to put them in the garden, and then they're going to have the soil. Okay, and the roots are going to go, hey, cool, look, soil, poof, gone. Your peat moss, a little bit, teeny tiny little bit, pinch of fertilizer, and maybe some vermiculite or some perlite if you want to add it. You don't even need to. I mean, you could go with straight peat moss, and you'd be fine. Okay. You don't need to add the soil to it. The problem with adding the soil to it is now you are adding something that is not sterile. And how many of you have problems with, or have ever had problems with, fungus gnats? I Told you how to get rid of fungus gnats and peat moss. Boiling water over top, right? Now you got bugs or whatever it is that are in soil that you're going to bring in, and you're going to bring that in your house. Hey, cool. I mean, like around here, stink bugs. Hey, you know what? I just brought a whole bunch of stink bug eggs in the house. That's what I want. Yeah, just use the peat moss. It's sterile. Samantha, my thoughts on stock market investing, good idea or bad? Well, considering I spent 8 years working on Wall Street, you guys know that. Right now, I would be running away. And I've said on the channel before what I did. I got out completely, took anything, my 401k, everything, paid off my house, used any of the money I had to pay bills, got out of debt. Any of the savings I had, I ate the penalty. Well, no, actually, I didn't have to pay the penalty because that was during the COVID crap that I took it out. But paid the taxes and did that. Said, okay, no more house payment. I'm good. If I was doing anything in the equities market right now, I'd be shorting the market. That's it. Okay. This market is going to blow up. I know I've said that for a year and a half. The market's really gone nowhere in a year and a half. Okay. But yeah, all these layoffs that you're seeing right now, companies don't lay off when they're making money hand over fist. They're making money when they're in debt up, or they lay off people when they're in debt up to their eyeballs and don't know where the next profit is going to come from. Yeah, right now, if I'm doing anything in the market, I'm shorting it. Not financial advice, but that's what I would do in the market. I would not be owning stocks right now. Victor H, do I grow tomatoes and potatoes in containers? No, both tomatoes and potatoes go straight into the ground for me. I've got big gardens that I built. I'm going to do some container gardening this year. Do some lettuce outside. I'm going to do my carrots in a container because I'm going to try something different with carrots because my soil here just is not, I haven't been able to build up my soil yet to have deep enough, good, rich, fine soil to do carrots well here. Carrots don't like clay, don't like rocks, anything like that. You need good soil. So I'm going to try that. I got that going on in a video of what I'm building for that too. So, but I don't do a whole lot of container gardening just for the simple reason is I got 2,200 square feet of garden space. So, Douglas DeLong, who attacked Iran? We talked about this at the top. That was Israel, who sent drones in attacking the munitions facilities. Nita Davenport, did you know President Truman made it against the law to own gold? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was FDR, not Truman. And then that got reversed during Jerry Ford's term. But, oh yeah, that's one. And they made it against the law to own gold. And there were a ton of people that kept it anyway. And the same thing's going to happen this time. You know, I don't care. You know, everybody says, "Oh, they've got records of it, what you bought, and everything." Right, because the government's so good about keeping records. I sold it 3 years ago. Oh, okay. I lost it in a boating accident. That's, yeah, no, sorry. They can say all they want. They'll probably try something like that. It'll never work. Okay. Again, everybody has to remember, and I have this conversation with somebody at least once a week. The fact that the government says they're going to do something and the fact that they have the ability to enforce it are two completely different things. Okay. You know, there are tons of laws on the books that are not enforced. What's the one going on in Illinois right now that all the sheriffs said that they won't enforce? Great, you got a lot of books. If you have no teeth to the law, who cares? Okay, it's the same thing. They say, we want everybody to confiscate all their gold, and we're going to give them $35 an ounce again. No, no, not happening. Okay, so they can say all they want. I mean, and again, you got to understand what they try to do. They try to see who's complacent, who's going to be compliant. Oh, the government said I have to do it, therefore I have to do it. And just like 70% of the population will go, oh, okay, if I have to do it, I'll go do it. And the other 30% are going, are you an idiot? So be part of the 30%. Susan Musser, I let my kids roll the mason jar to make butter. There you go. Roddy's rule, but you have to have whole milk, don't you, to make real butter? Yes. Kathleen Maddox, my thoughts on a Project Veritas Pfizer video. That was interesting. If you guys saw it too, YouTube has already pulled it down because, of course, it goes against the liberal narrative. But I love the guy once he got busted. Oh, I was just lying to impress a date. Yeah, okay. Don't think you'd be dating that guy again. Sometimes they say the truth out loud. And that was probably the stupidest lie he could come up with, especially getting caught. I mean, this guy's life is over. Okay, he's certainly has no career left at Pfizer, and there's not another pharmaceutical company's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole, because something like that is absolutely a trade secret. I mean, think about it from both sides. If it's true, it's so secretive that information should never leave the company. Fired. If it's false, this is what you're saying about your company to somebody. You're spreading bad news about the company. Fired. Okay. There's nobody that will hire this guy again. I mean, this guy will be on the 6 o'clock news sometime pretty soon, suicidal, hanging from his, bedroom closet or something like that. If it's true, which I have a tendency to believe it is, because all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of biolabs going up in Ukraine again. There needs to be some serious investigation into AstraZeneca, into Pfizer, et cetera, about what the hell they're doing. But the problem is you have such a corrupt Washington, is too many of them are going, oh, you give me some campaign contributions, I'll look the other way. That's the problem. Terry Majira, I'm going to take a guess. An old paint shaker works great for making butter. I can see how that one would work. Greater leverage Jesse. Mr. P, would you remove all the money from the bank? If so, where to keep it? Okay, we've talked about this in a couple of videos recently. I would keep enough money in the bank right now to pay your bills. That is it. Everything else, I would keep 6 months worth of cash, greenbacks and cash in the house to have cash on hand. I would keep a significant amount of money in gold and silver in the house, depending on what people have. This is where they've got us coming or going. Okay, because if you've got $5,000 in your bank account, that's easy. You keep the $2,000 it takes to pay the monthly bills. You keep the other $3,000 in cash in a safe in the house, and you're good. Okay. If you've got $100,000 in the bank account, now you have a problem. Okay. You put $2,000 in the bank for the cash. You put 6 months of bills, $12,000 worth of cash. Now you're up to 14. Okay, fine. You go out and buy $50,000 worth of gold and silver. That's $64,000. You still got 36 grand. Where the hell do I put it? And you can't keep that much money in the house, because if your house burns down, cash is not recoverable with home insurance. Okay. So now you got to put it somewhere. And this is where, the banks will get you. Uh, people say, well, put it in a safe deposit box. Okay, first off, that's not legal. Okay, you're not supposed to. Again, enforcement thing. Nobody's supposed to know what you have in your safe deposit box, but you're not supposed to put cash in it. But again, that goes right into the same thing. The problem with having it in the bank account is the bail-ins. The bank's just going to open up all the safe deposit box and go, oh, look, cash, cool. Okay, stocks and bonds, cool. Oh, look, those might be a little difficult, but liquid assets, cash, gold, silver, never in a safe deposit box. So then you look at where else can you put it? Well, yeah, you could go put it in a safe deposit box at the mall. You could put it in a locker at the airport if you want. I mean, who knows, something like that. Many people have said, make one of those little PVC tube things and bury it in the backyard. Yeah, that's the problem. It's depending on what you've got in the money. Not a problem I have to worry about, but I know some people have a significant amount of money in the bank. Imagine getting cleaned out, at that point, you know, the fallacy of, oh, it's FDIC insured. Okay, the FDIC has like 1.5% of the money to cover of what's in bank deposits. Okay, so for every $100 you have in the bank, the FDIC is going to give you $1.50 and a IOU that they have 99 years to pay for the other 98.50. Okay, that's just how FDIC insurance works. So maybe you go and put $5,000 in this credit union, $5,000 in that community bank, $5,000 in, Chase or whatever, and diversify amongst the banks. That when you get to a certain point, I don't have an answer. That's the best I can do. But yes, I would get my money out of the banks because when the banks fail, they're going to do bail-ins like a heartbeat. And they're just going to clean out accounts. Charlie Knoll, do I water my seedlings with fertilizer in the water? Not until they're at least in here. Once they're in here, then I will fertilize it. But while they're just in the seed trays, no. The seed's got everything it needs to grow, to get its first set of true leaves and everything. By the time it's getting that first set of true leaves and growing a little bit, that's about the time it's going in here. So, yeah. And we're getting close to the end already. Whoops. Shot to the bottom. Jodas Rames, are LED grow lights effective compared to more conventional grow lights? The white lights I've got that I've been using for 4 years here are LEDs. Okay, they are not the full spectrum grow lights. They're just basically got the correct lumens, got the correct Kelvin for them. They work great as grow lights for growing greens. I'm never going to grow tomatoes under those lights or something or get the fruit. But for growing greens and starting my seeds, it's perfect. But LEDs work perfectly. The big key is to make sure you get your Kelvin right and make sure you get your lumens right. And as long as you've got those, it doesn't matter if it's LEDs or LCDs or whatever. It's just a matter of getting that right. Cat Lady Life, I did see that you had sent a super chat before. I'm sorry, I forgot about it and it just flew right past me, and I just noticed Lorna saying I'm missing something. So, thank you for that. Yes, Lorna saying thank you to everyone who left the super chat. I do appreciate it, guys. Sometimes they come through and it used to show on the top of the chat box for me. It doesn't show anymore. And so if I don't see it, if I'm talking to the screen and it flips past me, I lose it. I don't mean to ignore anybody. I greatly appreciate it. Trust me. Mary Marks, there you go. I can get all the solo cups I want since I work for a place that makes them. That would do it. Yeah. Might want a side business. That'd probably get you fired. Not a good idea. Marie 2024. If you get a barn cat, feed your cat. They work better on a no starvation diet. Don't we all? Let's see. Mama preps for I ate canned tomatoes that were 12 years old and they were perfectly fine. Yeah, there you go. The deal is, I'll say this too: the canned tomatoes that we can in ball jars will last that long. The canned tomatoes that you get from, say, Hunt's will not, okay? Because that acid in tomatoes will eventually eat that metal. It won't eat the glass. So it's the difference there. There's a difference between canned in cans and canned in canning jars. One more if I can find one here. It's just a comment. Okay, Blue Raven. Last question. If I had to choose between paying off your fixed rate mortgage or credit cards, what would you do? I don't know what the balance is on either of them. Okay, I'm gonna give you two answers. If you, I'm a firm believer in Dave Ramsey's snowball deal. Okay, so that would say pay off the credit cards and then go after the mortgage. Okay. I'm also a prepper, which I personally I'd pay off the mortgage first. I want to own that house. If you can pay off, I mean, I don't know what you owe. If you owe $100,000 on your house and $100 on your credit cards, pay off the credit cards. Okay. If you owe 50,000 on the house and 40,000 on the credit cards, pay off the house first. Okay. They can't repossess the hamburger that you ate for dinner 6 months ago, but they can take your house. All right. So depending on what you owe, I would 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say pay off the mortgage, even though financially it doesn't make sense because the credit card is more of a uh, higher interest rate. I'm more concerned with protecting the roof over my head than paying off making sure that the bank gets their money. Because if something goes to shit, okay, the economy blows up, you have that note in the house for your hand. It's going to be hard to take that from you. Credit cards, bail in, credit cards are toast. Okay, that's it. If you did it the other way around, they go, you know what? Great, you got no credit card debt, but nobody's taking credit cards anymore anyway. Oh, but you haven't paid for your house. So 9 times out of 10, I'd say pay off the mortgage. And that's 10:01. All right, guys. Well, that was a fun Saturday night. Thank you, everybody, for everything. For those of you, if there was a super chat that I missed, I do apologize, guys. Thank you much for those. But y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you in the morning. Pinball out.